You know, winter is coming again soon. Remember how eagerly we awaited it as children? The first snow, patterns on the windows, the smell of tangerines in the Christmas tree. But as the years go by, the anticipation of winter can be tinged with a slight anxiety, can't it? Do you sometimes feel that with the arrival of the cold weather, your body seems to be telling you, be more careful? This is especially true for our tireless worker, the heart. After all, it's during winter that it has to work twice as hard. Cold air constricts blood vessels, forcing the heart to beat faster and harder to keep us warm and deliver oxygen to every cell. It's like asking an old, faithful horse to suddenly gallop up a steep hill in the frost. It would be difficult for him. And unfortunately, some of our familiar, seemingly harmless habits, like a love for salty snacks while watching evening TV, or the habit of spending days on end in a favorite armchair, can become that very heavy sleigh our heart has to pull uphill. They subtly undermine its strength, like silent pests in an old house. But what if I told you there are ways to notice these signals in advance? That there are simple, accessible steps anyone can take to help your heart not just survive the next winter, but meet it strong, calm, and full of energy? I promise you that after our conversation today, you will understand your body better, feel more confident, and learn how small changes can bring huge benefits to your well-being. All the advice will be understandable and achievable without complex terms or overwhelming tasks. Stay with me until the end, and let's take care of the most important engine of our lives together. And one of the first such signals that deserves close attention is not just ordinary evening fatigue, but an unexplained, persistent fatigue that doesn't go away even after a night's sleep. Do you sometimes feel as if all your energy has been drained, even though you haven't really done anything strenuous? This might not just be age or the weather. When the heart struggles to pump blood, it can't efficiently deliver oxygen and nutrients to the muscles and organs, including the brain. As a result, you feel worn out, sluggish, like an old battery that no longer holds its charge. This is particularly noticeable in winter, as the heart already has to work harder. Let me tell you about Arthur. Arthur was 72 years old and loved his small garden behind the house. Every spring, he eagerly awaited the time he could dig in the earth again. But last autumn, he noticed that even simple weeding had become a challenge for him. He used to be able to work outdoors for hours, but now, after just half an hour, he felt as if he had unloaded a coal wagon. Getting old, I suppose, he sighed, brushing off the concerns of his wife, Evelyn. He blamed it on poor sleep, the approaching winter, anything but his heart. He felt awkward admitting, even to himself, that he wasn't the man he used to be. He was used to being a pillar of strength, a strong man, and this sudden weakness frightened and irritated him. He started staying home more often, refusing the walks he used to enjoy. So, what helped Arthur? Something very simple. He began replacing long periods of inactivity with short, regular walks. Instead of sitting in front of the TV for hours, he started going out for 10 to 15 minutes every couple of hours. At first, it seemed pointless to him. What difference could these short outings make? But gradually, he noticed changes. His heart, like a well-oiled mechanism, began to work more smoothly. Light physical activity improved his circulation, and oxygen reached his muscles more effectively. These weren't grueling workouts, no. It was gentle, careful care for his body. Imagine an old, somewhat stagnant stream. If left untouched, it becomes overgrown with algae. But introduce a fresh current of water, and it comes alive, starts to babble. The same thing happened with Arthur. Physiologically, his heart became more efficient at using oxygen. Psychologically, his sense of control over his body returned, and the feeling of helplessness disappeared. He felt a surge of energy again, enough to happily plan his spring plantings. His mood improved, even his sleep became sounder. So, if you notice similar fatigue, don't dismiss it. Try adding a little movement to your day. Let it be a short walk around the room, some light stretching, or just a few minutes of walking in place during commercials. Your body will thank you. Start small. It's already a big step towards health. But sometimes, this overwhelming fatigue is accompanied by another, equally worrying sensation: shortness of breath, or a feeling of not getting enough air, especially with minor physical exertion, or even when lying down. Have you noticed it's become harder to climb to the second floor without stopping? Or perhaps you wake up at night feeling like you can't catch your breath and have to prop your head up with an extra pillow. This is a very serious warning sign. Often, shortness of breath occurs because a weakened heart can't cope with pumping blood, and fluid begins to back up in the lungs, interfering with normal breathing. It's like a clogged water pipe in your house. Water starts to accumulate where it shouldn't be. In winter, when we move less and often eat saltier foods, the risk of fluid retention increases. I want to tell you the story of Eleonora. She was 68. Eleonora was the life of the party, loved baking pies for her grandchildren, and hosting tea parties for her friends. But recently, she started noticing that even a simple task, carrying a bag of flour from the store to the kitchen, caused severe shortness of breath. She had to stop, lean against the wall to catch her breath. And at night, she started sleeping almost sitting up, surrounded by pillows, because lying down made it hard to breathe. She was very worried, but afraid to go to the doctor. "I've probably just gained weight," she told herself, although her weight hadn't changed much. She was ashamed of her weakness, feeling like a burden, as she had always been so active and energetic. Her habit of eating tasty, but often salty, home-cooked food, prepared with love, seemed an inseparable part of her life. What solution did Eleonora find? She started paying close attention to the amount of salt in her diet and replacing it with herbs and spices. At first, she thought food without the familiar salt shaker would be bland and tasteless. She had always generously salted soups, meats, even salads. But her daughter, noticing her mother's problems, gently persuaded her to try. Together, they started reading food labels. You'd be surprised how much hidden salt is in ready-made sauces, bread, canned goods. Eleonora discovered the world of aromatic herbs, basil, oregano, thyme, rosemary, and learned to use garlic, onion, and lemon juice to add flavor. Salt is like a magnet for water in our bodies. By reducing its consumption, we help the body get rid of excess fluid, taking a huge load off the heart and lungs. Imagine your heart is a pump that has to move thick, viscous fluid. By reducing salt, you make this fluid more fluid, making it much easier for the pump to work. Eleonora felt the difference within a couple of weeks. The shortness of breath became less bothersome, and her night's sleep improved. She could once again enjoy cooking and socializing without gasping for air at the slightest effort. And the food, she discovered with surprise, became even tastier and more interesting. Listen to your breathing. If it has become difficult, try reconsidering your salt habits. It's a simple step that can literally let you breathe easier. Discover the world of flavors beyond the salt shaker. When the heart struggles to do its job and fluid starts to retain, as we saw with Eleonora, it might not only manifest as shortness of breath. This same excess fluid can also start to accumulate in other parts of the body, especially in the legs, ankles, and feet, causing swelling, edema. Have you noticed by evening that the elastic from your socks leaves a deep mark on your skin? Or that your favorite shoes have become tight even though your size hasn't changed? Sometimes, even hands, rings become tight, or the abdomen can swell. This happens because the heart isn't managing to pump blood effectively throughout the body, and fluid, under the force of gravity, begins to pool in the lower extremities or other areas. It's like an irrigation system in a garden. If the pump is weak, water will stagnate at the lowest points. Meet George. He was 75 years old. George had worked as a postman all his life, was used to walking a lot, and prided himself on his stamina. After retiring, he spent more time at home, reading books and watching old movies. And then, he started noticing that by evening, his legs felt heavy and achy, and his ankles were noticeably swollen. At first, he thought it was from sitting for long periods or standing at the stove while cooking his meals. He was embarrassed about it, wore loose trousers to hide his swollen legs. It seemed like something shameful, a sign of old age and infirmity. He was used to being active, and now he felt somewhat puffy and clumsy. What helped George? 2 simple actions: regularly elevating his legs above heart level during rest and doing simple exercises for his feet and calves. Every time he sat down to watch TV or read, he put a couple of pillows under his legs. And several times a day, he did simple exercises, rotating his feet, flexing and pointing his toes, rolling from heel to toe. He was skeptical at first. What nonsense, he thought. How can this possibly help? But it's not nonsense. By elevating our legs, we help the veins and lymphatic system return the accumulated fluid back into circulation, easing the workload on the heart. It's like helping a river flow faster by clearing blockages in its path. And foot exercises activate the muscle pump in the calves, which helps push blood upward against gravity. Physiologically, this improves venous return and lymphatic drainage. Psychologically, George felt a lightness in his legs he hadn't experienced in a long time. The heaviness subsided, the swelling decreased. He could comfortably wear his favorite shoes again, and even started going out for short walks more often because his legs no longer tired and ached so quickly. If you've noticed swelling, try these simple techniques. Give your legs a rest in an elevated position. Do some light exercises for your feet. It's small care with a big effect. Your legs and your heart will be grateful. And although manifestations like fatigue, shortness of breath, or swelling are already serious signals, there is one symptom that is perhaps the most alarming and must be treated with the utmost seriousness: any discomfort in the chest area. It's important to understand that this isn't always the sharp, piercing pain shown in movies. It can be a feeling of pressure, tightness, burning, heaviness, as if a brick has been placed on your chest. Sometimes the pain can radiate to the left arm, neck, jaw, back, or even feel like severe heartburn. Such discomfort, especially if it occurs during physical exertion, stress, or in the cold, could be a sign of angina, a signal that the heart muscle isn't getting enough oxygen. Ignoring this is absolutely unacceptable. It's like the red warning light on a car's dashboard signaling a serious malfunction. Let me tell you about Margaret. She was 70. Margaret lived in a hilly area and loved to walk, despite her age. But last winter, she started noticing a strange squeezing sensation in her chest when walking uphill, especially on a frosty day. It wasn't severe pain, more like an unpleasant pressure that went away as soon as she stopped and rested. She attributed it to the cold air, a tight coat, or just being out of breath. She was scared to think about anything serious. She remembered how her father had suffered from heart problems and feared repeating his fate. So she tried to ignore it, avoided steep climbs, walked more slowly. She didn't tell anyone about her sensations, carrying this anxiety within herself. What was key for Margaret? She stopped ignoring the symptom and consulted her doctor. This is the most crucial advice in this case. If you experience any chest discomfort, do not self-diagnose. Do not wait for it to go away on its own. Be sure to tell your doctor about it. The doctor can perform necessary tests and provide an accurate diagnosis. In Margaret's case, it turned out to be exertional angina. She was prescribed appropriate treatment and given lifestyle recommendations. But besides that, learning simple stress management techniques helped her greatly. She began practicing deep breathing for a few minutes each day, found a calming hobby, knitting, started listening to soothing music more often. Stress is like adding fuel to the fire for our heart. It raises blood pressure, quickens the pulse, increases the heart's oxygen demand. By learning to relax, we help the heart work in a calmer, more economical mode. Imagine driving a car. You can constantly accelerate and brake, jerking through traffic, or you can drive smoothly and calmly. The second option is much less taxing on the engine, isn't it? Physiologically, reducing stress normalizes hormone levels and the function of the autonomic nervous system. Psychologically, Margaret felt immense relief, freed from the fear of the unknown. She realized her condition could be managed, and this gave her strength and confidence. Please, pay attention to any signals from your chest area. Don't be afraid to seek help. And remember that caring for your peace of mind is also an important part of caring for your heart. Find your ways to relax and relieve tension. Sometimes heart problems don't manifest as pain or tightness in the chest, but in completely different ways. For example, sudden spells of dizziness, feeling lightheaded or foggy, or even feeling faint, especially when getting up quickly from a sitting or lying position. Have you ever felt like the ground is shifting beneath your feet when you rise from your favorite chair, or that your vision darkens for a few seconds? This could be related to a drop in blood pressure, a heart rhythm disturbance, or insufficient blood supply to the brain because the heart isn't pumping effectively. Dehydration, which is common in older adults, we simply forget to drink enough water, can worsen this problem. It's like the water pressure dropping in your home's plumbing system. Water struggles to reach the upper floors. Here's the story of Henry. He was 78. Henry was a creature of habit. Every evening, he sat in his old leather armchair and read the newspaper. Lately, He started noticing that when he stood up to go to the kitchen for tea, he felt very dizzy and had to lean on the back of the chair for a second to avoid falling. He blamed it on age and needing new glasses. He even chuckled at himself a bit. Getting really old, legs can't hold me up. But deep down, he was anxious. He was afraid of falling and breaking something. He started getting up less, trying to keep everything he needed within reach. He drank hardly any water during the day, preferring strong tea or coffee. What helped Henry? Two simple but very important changes. He started drinking enough plain water throughout the day and trained himself to stand up slowly, without rushing. His doctor explained that dehydration thickens the blood and can cause blood pressure fluctuations. Henry placed a water bottle on the table next to his chair and tried to take a few sips every hour. It felt unnatural at first. He didn't feel thirsty, but gradually he noticed he felt more alert. And the habit of rising smoothly, sitting on the edge of the chair or bed for a few seconds first and only then slowly standing up, gave his blood vessels time to adapt to the change in position. Water is the basis of life. It maintains normal blood volume and vessel elasticity. It's like lubrication for the entire body. And standing up slowly is like letting a car engine warm up a bit before driving off, rather than flooring it from a standstill. Physiologically, sufficient hydration and rising slowly helps stabilize blood pressure. Psychologically, Henry's fear of falling disappeared, and he felt confident on his feet again. The dizziness virtually stopped. If you experience dizziness, especially when changing position, pay attention to how much water you drink and try to move smoothly. Be sure to discuss this with your doctor, as some medications can also cause dizziness. Simple steps towards stability can protect you from serious trouble. Besides dizziness, another manifestation of impaired heart function can be a disruption of its rhythm, a sensation of skipped beats or palpitations. This can feel like a missed beat, the heart pausing, fluttering, or, conversely, a sudden strong and rapid heartbeat that you feel in your chest, neck, or throat. Sometimes this can be caused by stress, caffeine, certain medications, and may resolve on its own. But frequent or prolonged irregularities can be a sign of an arrhythmia, such as atrial fibrillation, which significantly increases the risk of stroke. Therefore, these sensations should not be taken lightly. It's as if the conductor of your internal orchestra suddenly started losing the rhythm. It could lead to chaos in the entire performance. Let me tell you about Betty. She was 65. Betty had recently retired and was enjoying her freedom. But sometimes, especially in the evenings when she went to bed, she felt her heart suddenly start to flip or flutter in her chest. It was a very unpleasant and alarming sensation. She would get scared, start listening to every beat, which only made her heart beat faster. She didn't tell anyone about it, thinking it was just nerves. She drank a lot of coffee during the day to stay alert, and sometimes allowed herself a glass of wine in the evening to relax. What did Betty do? First, she significantly reduced her intake of caffeine and alcohol, which are known triggers for rhythm disturbances. She replaced several cups of coffee with herbal teas, and decided to forgo the evening wine for the time being. Second, she learned some relaxation techniques, such as slow, deep breathing before sleep. And most importantly, she finally told her doctor about her sensations. The doctor conducted tests, ECG, perhaps a Holter monitor, recording the ECG over 24 hours, and was able to determine the cause of the irregularities. In her case, they turned out to be benign extrasystoles, aggravated by caffeine and anxiety, but sometimes it can be a more serious condition. Reducing stimulants and using relaxation techniques helped decrease the frequency and intensity of the palpitations. It's like tuning a musical instrument, removing extraneous vibrations and interference so it sounds clear. Physiologically, this reduces the load on the heart's conduction system and calms the nervous system. Psychologically, Betty stopped being afraid of her heart. Knowing the cause and understanding that she could influence her condition brought her immense relief and peace of mind. If you feel irregularities in your heartbeat, don't panic, but don't ignore them either. Try to analyze if there are obvious triggers in your lifestyle, and be sure to consult your doctor to rule out serious problems. A calm and steady heart rhythm is key to your well-being. So, we've looked at 6 important signals to pay attention to, especially as winter approaches. Remember, my dear friends, your body is constantly talking to you, sending you signs. Our task is to learn to hear them and understand them correctly. Fatigue, shortness of breath, swelling, chest discomfort, dizziness, irregular rhythm. These are not a verdict or a reason for despair. They are an invitation to take care of yourself, to show yourself a little more attention and love. You have lived a long, rich life, accumulated wisdom and experience. You deserve to greet each new day, each new winter, feeling well, vigorous, and with peace in your soul. Don't be afraid of small changes, whether it's a short walk, a pinch of aromatic herbs instead of salt, or a few minutes of calm breathing. It is from such small steps that the great path to health and longevity is built. Believe in your strength, listen to yourself, and know that you are capable of making your life better at any age. Your heart is an amazing gift. Cherish it.